Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about downward facing dog, or in Sanskrit it is known as Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog is a very common pose that is practiced in a lot of different styles of yoga. Although it might not seem like it at first, over time, downward facing dog is considered to be a resting pose and a great pose to use to reset in between standing sequences and more intense postures. However, at first, it can feel like not only a good stretch for the legs, but also quite a workout for the arms and shoulders. With practice, downward facing dog will begin to feel more natural and ultimately like a resting pose. Downward facing dog is a wonderful pose to help decompress the spine and stretch the calves and hamstrings. It is also an inversion, meaning the head is below the heart, which can help improve blood flow through your body and even provide the emotional benefit of a feel-good energy. To get started, come to a tabletop position on all fours. Bring your hands shoulder width apart and be sure that your middle finger is facing straight forward. Or if you have tight shoulders, you can practice this pose with your pointer finger facing straight forward. Just make sure that you do not turn your fingers inward in this pose, because that can tighten up the shoulders, which is not what we want. Once you've found the right angle for your hands, be sure to spread your fingers wide and press down through the L pad of your hands, which is the base of your index finger and thumb. This will help to make sure the weight is distributed correctly, and it will take out pressure in the outer corners of your wrists. Begin to engage your core by drawing your navel toward your spine and extend your legs behind you, coming into plank pose. Take an inhale through your nose, and as you exhale, begin to use your core to lift your hips up and back, creating an upside down V shape in your body. Walk your feet in just an inch or two closer to your hands, but no more than that. If you walk your feet in too much, you won't leave yourself as much space in your body to stretch. Make sure your feet are about sitting bone distance apart, so a little narrower than the widest part of your hips. To loosen up the calves and hamstrings a bit, you can pedal out your legs by bending one knee and then the other. Doing this for a few rounds, and when you're ready, find stillness and breathe. Notice where you feel sensation in the body. To fine-tune this pose a bit, let's talk about the priorities of downward facing dog. The top priority is to create length in the spine and take away any rounding in the back. To do this, start by coming up high on your toes and sending your hips up as high as you can while pressing your chest back toward your thighs. Try to create a straight line from your wrists to your shoulders to your hips. Once you've lifted your hips up as high as they can go, continue to lengthen your tailbone up and back as though someone was pulling on your hips, and slowly begin to bend your knees and lower your heels about halfway. Keep your arms strong and straight. This brings us into the second priority of downward facing dog, which is to safely stretch the backs of the legs without losing the integrity that we just created in the spine. To do this, work toward making the legs straighter and perhaps lowering the heels a bit more. However, the moment your back rounds, you've gone too far. Find where you need to be today and breathe there. For another tune-up tip in downward facing dog today, let's talk about the shoulders. We want to create an external rotation in the shoulders to help broaden the space of the upper back. So for a moment, come to your knees and let's try it out. If we create an inward rotation through the shoulders, try this. This would pull the shoulders up to the ears. So now let's try just the opposite, finding an external rotation as though the outsides of your armpits are going to touch the outsides of the room. And see how when you make this external rotation, it drops the shoulders away from the ears, creating more space in your neck and your upper back. If you're really open in your shoulders, be sure to be extra aware of them in downward facing dog to prevent any overstretching. Again, remember that straight line from your wrists to your shoulders to your hips. So if you're really open in the shoulders and you push your chest back too much, you can break that line. As always, be sure to pull your navel in and up in downward facing dog. Or in this case, you can even think about knitting your front ribs together to help support the spine and promote that decompression in the back body that we're looking for. You may like to rest in child's pose after downward facing dog to help reset the blood flow before returning upright again. I hope this video helped you to understand downward facing dog a bit more. Thanks for watching and have a great day.